So I'll just read out the case. This is the first one was a basic case. This is a more advanced one. So the firm Easy Access has just bagged an infra project. The project requires construction of mobile network towers. 1,000 towers to be constructed all over US. Cost of construction of towers is $25 million. Project will be financed keeping a debt ratio of 60% based on book values. So the first step I would do is to draw a proposed capital structure. So the source is either debt or it is equity. The value of issue is $25 million into 60%, which is $15 million, and 25 into 40%, which is $10 million for equity, for debt and for equity. So the total is 25 million, right? Now, next step is what? You have to determine the market value weights. So how many bonds are you going to issue? 15 million is what you require. And every bond has a value of 1,000. So you need to issue 15,000 bonds. And the market value of the bond is 1,000 into 1 minus 40%, which is, sorry, 1 minus 4%. It's trading at 90, it's trading at 4% discount, no? So that's 1960. So the market value in dollar values would be 15,000 bonds into 960, which is 14.4 million. Correct? So the remaining 25 million is what you want, minus you're getting so much from debt. So that means 10.6 million will have to be raised from equity. And why is this important? This is important because you are needing the market value weights. So what will be the market value weights? Market value weights would be 14.4 million by 25 million and 10.6 million by 25 million. So ये हो गया आपके market value weights. Now next is what? To determine the costs of capital. Now for cost of debt, you remember we use the YTM. I told you about the YTM. YTM is C plus M minus P by N by 0.4 M plus 0.6 P. So यहाँ पे $1,000 के ऊपर 6% कूपन है, so that's 60 plus M minus P, 1,000 minus 960, that is 40, divide by 5, and this whole thing divide by 0.4 M plus 0.6 P. So which means that you have 68 by 976 or 6.97% is your YTM. Now, if you are taking the post-tax, now you can also use the rate function in Excel. So is equal to rate. So the investor gets for 5 years, he gets $60 as your coupon. He has to pay 960 now in the bond, and this will mature at 1,000. So you will get the same percentage, 6.97%. दिख रहा है? So whether we use the YTM or we use the rate function, both of them are going to lead you to the same result, which is 6.97%. So what is the cost of debt I should take? So cost of debt would be what? It will be 6.97% into 1 minus tax rate, which is 40%, which is what? 4.18%. Am I right? And what will be cost of equity? YATM, but post-tax, because it saves tax. Cost of debt is always post-tax. And cost of equity would be? Cost of equity, you can take the CAPM, which is 5% annualized yield plus 0.8 is your beta into 12%. So that makes it 14.6. So this can help you with the weighted average cost of capital, which is some product of the weights and the costs, which comes to 8.6%. Is that correct? Yes or no? आया ना? Right or wrong? So this is weight into cost plus weight into cost. So now if I want to put down my cash flows here for all the 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll first put all my cash flows. सबसे पहला कैश फ्लो क्या है आपका? Coupon payments. How much is the coupon payments? $1,000 into 6% per bond into 15,000 bonds. So that is, and then divided by 1 million. Isn't it? Because I'm expressing it in millions. So that is your coupon payment. Then you will have debt redemption also, because you'll have to redeem the bonds. These bonds mature after 5 years. Yes or no? So these bonds are redeeming, these bonds are maturing after 5 years. So on the 5th year, you're going to pay the 15 million back. Correct? And you will have the OPEX. OPEX क्या है? 5 million है, and then what is the inflation I have said? 4% annually. So every year, the cost will be 4% higher than the previous year. So ये तीनों क्या बन गए? What are these three? These three are your cash outflows. These three are the cash outflows. Now, what is the tax saved? Tax saved के लिए आपको पहले depreciation find out करना पड़ेगा. Now, please remember, this is a WDV method of depreciation. WDV method of depreciation के लिए you need rate. Are you given the rate in this problem? Rate दिया है problem में? नहीं दिया ना? So you'll have to find out. So the formula for the WDV rate of depreciation, you can write down. It will help you even in the other subjects. WDV rate of depreciation will be 1 minus salvage value by original cost to the power of 1 by n, where n is the number of years. 1 minus salvage value by original cost to the power of 1 by n, where n is the number of years. So I need the depreciation first. I'll construct the schedule for which I need the WDV rate of depreciation. So what will be the WDV rate here? 1 minus salvage value कितना है उसका? 5 है ना? So 5 by 25 to the power of 1 by 5. which means your WDV rate is 27.52%. Now the question is how would you check ये रेट सही है कि नहीं? और जब आप इसका डेप्रिसिएशन शेड्यूल बनाओगे तो 5th ईयर के एंड पे अगर $5 million आया, इसका मतलब दिस इज राइट. Why 5 million? Because the salvage value we have seen is 5 million. So I am going to take the depreciation for these. So the opening balance is 25 million. The depreciation is what? 25 million into 27.52%. And the closing balance would be this minus this. This again becomes your opening. इसके ऊपर again you're going to take 27.52, and again this minus this will become your closing. And you will repeat this exercise for how many years? For 5 years. I'm going to repeat this exercise for 5 years. And ये देखो, what is the value that you are seeing here? $5 million, which is the salvage value, which means that the WDV rate of depreciation was correct. बराबर ना? So I am going to save tax on what? I am going to save tax on interest, plus I am going to save tax on depreciation, plus I am going to save tax on OPEX, on all three. And how much tax I am going to save? 40%. So इससे आपको taxes मिल जाएंगे, tax saved. So what are you going to get out of this? इससे मिलेगा क्या बोलो? Now you are ready with your net cash flows. Net cash flows are your sum of all these cash flows minus the tax saved. Correct? Now, last year में एक adjustment होना चाहिए. What is the adjustment that should be there, that should happen in the last year? In the last year, there should be one adjustment. What is the adjustment that should be there? $5 million salvage value. So वो reduce होना चाहिए यहाँ पे. So I'm going to reduce this and I'm going to get the net cash flows. Now, next is I need discounting factors, which is 1 by 1 plus your WACC to the power of each year. And this I'm going to freeze and drag this down. So these are your discounting factors, and then take present values, which is net cash flows into the discounting factors. And then simply add these. So if I go for the construction option, I am having a present value of cash outflows of $14.82 million. But if I go for the lease option, then what is going to happen? अगर मैं lease option के लिए जाता हूं तो क्या होगा? I will just take the post-tax LRs. LR stands for lease rentals. What is my annual lease rental? $6 million. So I'm going to take 6 into 1 minus 40%. So ये हो गया आपका post-tax lease rentals. Now discounting factors क्या लोगे आप? Discounting factor 7% है. So 1 by 1 plus 7% to the power of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Multiply this. And then check present values, which is post-tax lease rentals into the discounting factors. And then add them up. So now what is the total cash outflows? If it is a leasing option, it is $14.76 million. So you will see that leasing turns out to be better compared to construction of towers. Slightly, marginally better. But here, it's, I mean, you're also, if you're not going for construction, you're also saving up on all the logistical and administrative hurdles. So that's another advantage. Now, there is a small catch here. Many theories suggest that yahan WACC mein I have already taken post-tax cost of debt. Please pay attention. Many theories suggest that WACC mein I have already taken post-tax cost of debt. So then I should not consider the post-tax interest here. है कि नहीं? Interest should not be considered. Coupon should not be considered for tax saving. But the reason I have considered is that here we have not for first of all, this is based on market value weights, and the debt is not based on coupon. It's actually based on yield to maturity. And the WACC is not applied just on interest. The WACC is applied on all the cash. So it's always better. Like for example, अगर मैं इसको नहीं लेता, then my cash flows would have actually become lower, and probably the construction option would have turned out to be better. But that's a debatable point. So you could. The other way is don't make this YTM post-tax. Make this YTM, just keep it at 6.97%. So अगर मैं suppose इसमें tax effect नहीं लेता हूँ, then this will rise and this actually falls. Can you see that? And now what becomes better? Now the construction option becomes better. So this can be very dicey actually. So the reason why I have taken is because of the yield and coupon differences, which is also an acceptable exercise. But if you get such a question ever to attempt in your exam or when you're evaluating, please keep this difference in mind, and always better to document the assumptions. And if there is a marginal difference, then it really doesn't make a difference. 5% here and there, both are okay. It won't impact your decision too much. But yes, it's a conceptual thing which you should bear in. Clear? Okay, great. So that completes leasing.